Squeeze the rag doll tighter. Your 6-year-old hands are shaking, and the shadow filling the room belongs to the largest, most dangerous man in England. And he is your father. He has just signed your mother's death warrant. You are not a child anymore. You are a liability with a heartbeat, and the only thing standing between you and the executioner's axe is your ability to make a tyrant believe you are worth keeping alive. Yesterday you had a title. Yesterday servants addressed you with a bow, your gowns were made of silk, and your place in the world was fixed and certain. Today, with a single legal declaration signed by the heaviest hand in England, you have been made illegitimate. You are no longer a princess. You are officially nobody. And nobody in Tudor England is safe. You are 3 years old when it happens for the first time. Henry VIII, your father, annuls his marriage to your mother, Anne Boleyn, and the legal ground beneath your feet simply disappears. The title of princess is stripped from your name. You are to be called Lady Elizabeth now. A demotion so sharp it has a sound, like something tearing. Your household is reduced. Servants who bowed yesterday now look past you. The deference evaporates overnight, and you are too young to understand the politics and old enough to feel every degree of the temperature dropping around you. The clothes are the first physical sign. You grow, and nobody replaces what no longer fits. Your gowns become too short at the hem, too tight at the sleeve, because ordering new ones requires money and authorization from a court that is currently pretending you barely exist. Your governess, Lady Bryan, writes desperate letters to the king's ministers, explaining that you have nothing suitable to wear, that your household lacks basic provisions. These letters go largely unanswered. The daughter of a woman whose head has been separated from her body is not a priority. The palace itself seems to contract around you. The rooms you are given are smaller, colder, further from the fire. Stone walls that once felt like protection now feel like containment. Mold grows at the base of the walls where moisture seeps through, and you learn to sleep in the corner of the bed furthest from the draft. You are not starving, but you are being quietly, officially diminished. And in Tudor England, diminishment has a direction, and that direction is the Tower. What keeps you alive in these years is not courage. You are 3, then 4, then 5. Courage is not yet a concept you possess. What keeps you alive is invisibility. The less you matter, the less reason anyone has to remove you. You learn this without being taught it. You learn it the way children learn all survival, through the body before the mind has words for it. But invisibility has a limit. And the moment your father decides he wants to look at you again is the moment everything becomes exponentially more dangerous. The mold on your bedroom wall is not a metaphor. It is actual mold. Dark, spreading patches of it at the base of the stone, where the moisture never fully dries, where the cold seeps in through winter and stays through spring. You know its smell before you know the word for it. Damp, organic, ancient. The smell of a room that the palace has chosen to forget, occupied by a girl the palace is also choosing to forget. Your food arrives inconsistently. On good days, meaning days when no political crisis is consuming the court's attention, a meal appears at the expected hour, tasted first by a servant whose job is to die before you do. Something is wrong with it. You watch this happen every single time. A man puts food in his mouth. He waits. You wait. Then you eat. This is not dramatic for you. It is simply Tuesday. It is the texture of an ordinary morning. The fact that someone must potentially absorb poison on your behalf before you touch your own breakfast is so normalized by the age of 7 that it registers only as a slight delay between sitting down and being allowed to lift your spoon. On bad days, the food simply does not come. Not as punishment. Nobody is paying enough attention to you to bother with punishment. It doesn't come because the household budget has been cut again, or because the servant responsible has been reassigned, or because in the chaos of a court run by a man whose moods are as unstable as his health, a child in a cold room 3/4 from anyone important is simply not remembered. You learn to read his mood from a distance. Through letters, through the tone of the messages that arrive with your small household, through what your tutors will and will not say in the same breath. A hesitation before answering a question about the king is its own kind of answer. You become fluent in this language before you are fluent in Latin, and your tutors are teaching you Latin at 6. One wrong sentence in one letter intercepted by one wrong person can redirect a royal gaze toward you, and a royal gaze in 1540 is not attention, it is targeting. You learn to be excellent at everything and invisible while doing it. Your letters home are perfectly worded, perfectly deferential, perfectly empty of anything that could be used against you. You are 7 years old and you are already editing yourself for survival. The Tower of London is not an abstraction to you. You have seen it from the river. You know what it is for. And you know that the distance between where you are standing and where people go to disappear is shorter for you than for almost anyone else in England. The cold and the hunger and the mold are not the real threat. The real threat is what happens when your father finally remembers you exist and decides it is time to take a look at what you have become. Nothing prepares you for the smell. You have been coached for days on the correct angle of the curtsy, the precise words of greeting, the expression your face must hold: open, warm, devoted, not too eager, never too confident. Your governess has rehearsed this with you until your knees ache from practice. But no one mentions the smell because no one who wants to keep their position speaks plainly about the king's body, and his body by the 1540s is a catastrophe. He fills the doorway. That is the first thing, not his face, not his expression, but the sheer physical fact of him occupying space in a way that leaves less of it for everyone else. He weighs close to 300 pounds. His legs, once celebrated in portraits for their athletic shape, are now wrapped in bandages soaked with ointment because the ulcer on his left leg has been open and infected for years. It does not heal. It cannot be treated effectively with anything available in the 16th century. It seeps. It smells. Something sweet and wrong, the particular sweetness of flesh that is rotting from the inside while the man attached to it continues to rule an entire nation by force of ego alone. You do not react. This is the performance. You curtsy at the correct angle, you speak the correct words, you look up at him with an expression that you have built specifically for this moment. A child's open adoration, carefully constructed by a child who has not felt safe since the age of 3. He looks at you the way powerful men look at things that belong to them, with assessment, not affection. He is deciding what you are worth. You are deciding how to make him decide in your favor. You are 8 years old and this is a negotiation. The stepmothers cycle through your awareness like weather systems. Jane Seymour, who is kind to you and dies giving Henry VIII the son he wanted. Anne of Cleves, dismissed within months because his expectations did not match reality. Catherine Howard, young and laughing, then gone. Taken to the Tower on a January morning, her head removed in February. You do not cry where anyone can see you. You note it, you file it. You understand that proximity to Henry VIII is not a privilege. It is an exposure, and every woman who has stood too close has eventually been burned. So you perfect the performance. You are scholarly, and because he respects intellect. You are modest, because he despises boldness in those he cannot control. You are Protestant enough when the wind blows that way and quiet enough about it when it doesn't. You become a mirror reflecting back exactly what the room requires. And you do this so well that people who study you later will struggle to find the real child beneath the diplomat. She is there. She is just underneath everything, still holding the rag doll, still counting the footsteps in the corridor. And tonight, those footsteps are closer than usual. It is 3 in the morning and you are already awake. You have been awake for an hour, possibly 2, lying completely still in the dark with your eyes open because somewhere in the corridor outside your door there are footsteps. And every night of your life you perform the same silent calculation. The weight of them, the rhythm, the pace. Guards move differently than servants. Servants move with purpose and distraction. Guards move with the specific deliberateness of people who have been given an instruction and are following it exactly. You know the difference by sound alone. You learned it young. You had to. The daughter of a traitor does not sleep easily. That is what they call your mother, traitor, adulteress, witch. And in Tudor England, the sins of the parent cling to the child like a second skin. You cannot fully escape what she was accused of being because the accusation lives in every room you enter before you do. You see it in the half-second pause before a courtier greets you. You feel it in the way conversations stop and rearrange themselves when you approach. You are permanently preceded by a story you did not write and cannot correct, authored by a man who is also your father, who is also the only person with the authority to protect you or destroy you, and who makes that decision freshly, daily, based on variables that include the weather, the pain in his leg, and the last thing someone whispered in his ear at dinner. Your body has been living in this state of alert for years. You do not sleep deeply. You rest in layers, always with one part of your nervous system listening. You eat carefully, never too much, never in a way that suggests comfort or ease, because ease is a luxury for people whose survival is not contingent on a tyrant's digestion. The cortisol running through you is not dramatic. It is simply the chemical background of your entire childhood. The permanent low hum of an organism that has correctly identified its environment as dangerous and adjusted accordingly. The execution yard is visible from certain windows in the residences where you have lived. You have seen it. You do not look at it deliberately, but you know exactly where it is in relation to where you stand at any given moment, the way you always know where the door is in any room you enter. This is not morbidity, this is geometry. This is a child calculating the physical distance between herself and the thing she must not become. And the only wall between you and that yard is the continued goodwill of a man who has demolished that wall for 2 wives already, and who is, at this very moment, somewhere in this palace, in pain, restless, and thinking about power. The footsteps in the corridor stop. You wait, they do not resume. You exhale slowly, adjust your position in the bed, and begin the calculation again from the beginning. This is the night, every night, and morning brings no relief. It brings only a new set of variables to survive.